What's going on? It's Dom. Welcome to the channel and welcome to another Dom IY video. Now today I'm working on my son's new/used 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee. He just recently picked up this vehicle about 3 weeks ago, and in that time sold his previous vehicle, a 2015 Ford Mustang convertible. He wanted something bigger. He wanted an SUV. We found this one online. Very clean and extremely low miles for a 2014. We got it with less than 16,000 original miles. This is your true and typical snowbird vehicle. Now, it only sat at the dealer for about 5 days, and I'm sure in that time they looked it over and checked all the fluids and everything. But for my own satisfaction, for my own peace of mind, I'm going to change the oil on this. Why? Because I want to know what's in there. I want to know what filter, what oil, when it was done, keep a record of everything as I do with all my vehicles, the maintenance records, and make sure that I did it on what day and when it's due. So that's what we're going to take care of today. Before we get into that, I want to welcome those of you that are here for the first time to please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell so you'll be notified of the next video that I post. Also, if you enjoy the video at the end, give it a like, leave a comment, because all that helps support the channel. Now let's get into this simple DIY. All right, to perform this oil change, you'll see I already have the vehicle jacked up. I do have a jack stand supporting it. I don't trust the jack by itself. No one should. I've got the e-brake on, and I've also got some wheel chocks back there just to make sure this thing doesn't roll away. So I've got everything laid out that I need to perform this oil change. Obviously, I've got the oil, 6 quarts of 5W20. I went with Pennzoil. I went with a genuine Mopar filter. That's an MO-349. And I've got the necessary sockets to remove the oil filter cap, which is a 15/16, or in my case, I'm using a 24 millimeter, which works just fine. I've got a 13 millimeter so I can remove the oil drain plug down at the bottom. I've got some rags and I'm ready to go. Now in this particular model, it does have a cap that you can remove to get to the oil filter cap under there, but it's just so cumbersome and I know I'm gonna make a mess. And as you can see, the engine is really nice and clean. So I'm just gonna remove the entire plastic here. It's already loose. You just pop it up. It sits on these nipples right here and it falls in under those sockets right under there. I'm gonna remove that and get it out of the way. And that'll expose the oil filter cap right there, which is the 15/16, or as I said, I'm using a 24 millimeter to unscrew that. Here is the oil filler cap, and right on there it says what oil you should be using, 5W20. I'm going to loosen that to release some of the pressure as well. I'm going to release this here before I go underneath and remove the drain plug. Now you can see I laid out a rag around the filter so that way when I pull it out, I won't get too much overspill on all the other components of the engine. And I have this little plastic here with a plastic bag inside of it that I'm going to drop it in so I don't make that much of a mess. And I can start removing the filter cap. And I'll just raise it up very slowly to let it drain so I don't get too much of a mess on the outside, and drop it right in. Now I can see that it was recently done because it's not dark brown. It still has a little golden color to it. However, as I said, I don't care if it was done a day ago and I just picked up the vehicle from the dealer. I'm going to do it anyway so I know what I put in and when I put it in. So now I'll just remove the old filter by snapping it out. Let it sit in there. I'll take my cap. I'll clean it up a little bit. And I will be removing the O-ring that's there. I'm going to remove that and pop in the new one. Now with my pick tool, I'm just going to get into this last groove and pop out the O-ring that will be replaced with the new one. I'll just take that right off. That'll be trashed. I'll just clean up a little bit, not a whole lot, and I will be using some of the old residual oil that I have. I'll just take a little bit right from in here. I've got some that I can put on the new O-ring before I put it on, just to give it a little lubrication. And I'm placing it right on that last wide ring here at the bottom, not on the threads, but on the last wide ring there. That's where it goes. I'll just pop that on and have this all ready to go. That's perfect. It's got some lubrication on there, as I said. I'll take my new filter, pop that in. And the new filter does have the O-ring already put on the filter itself. It wasn't in the bag. I didn't have to go searching for it. They kindly put it on there for me. I have this ready to go. I'm just going to leave it open while I go underneath, drain out the oil, and that way it'll flow a lot quicker. Now I'll show you where the drain plug is. It's right here. I hope you can see it. It's kind of dark under here, but I'm doing the best I can to keep everything in focus. This is the drain plug. It's 13 millimeter. And I'll tell you what I did off camera. And this is the reason why I do my own DIYs. I do as much as possible on my vehicle. This drain plug was on so tight, I needed a breaker bar to take it off, a 24-inch breaker bar. I didn't have much clearance to do it, but I managed. It was on extremely tight. There's no reason for that. So I finally got it loose, and now I can take it off with my ratchet, and hopefully I have good aim, my wife tells me, and I'll get it right into the pan here without making too much of a mess. As you can see, it is kind of golden. It's still a little golden, which means they must have done it recently. And that's fine by me, but I want to do it again for my peace of mind and knowing that I did it right, and I'm not going to torque this down that tight. All right, with all the old oil drained out, I put the oil drain plug back in, tightened it up. I'm going to put the filter in with the cap. Don't need the rag anymore. Now again, this probably gets torqued down as well. I know on the BMW X3, it's like around 18 foot-pounds, but that's just a little bit over hand tight. So I'm gonna feel it because I don't wanna snap anything. I don't wanna break any seals, you know. All right, and that should be good to go there. One day I will do an engine clean on this vehicle as well. But for the most part, it's in really good shape. It's nice and clean. Now I'm gonna go and fill with 6 quarts of oil. And I'm using Pennzoil Full Synthetic 5W20. I've seen some forums and some vlogs where that's what they recommend, as well as the OEM Mopar oil filter. So 6 quarts are in, nice and fresh. And now I can sleep soundly knowing that it has fresh oil, the right oil. I don't know what they put in. I'm sure they did the right thing, but you never know. You saw what happened with the oil drain plug. And I put the OEM filter. I'm not sure what I took out. Could have been an STP or something, which isn't bad either, but I'd rather go OEM. Okay, I'm done filling the vehicle with oil. It took 6 quarts. Before I put the cover back on, I'm going to start the vehicle. I'm going to check for any leaks up above here around the oil filter, down below by the drain plug. If everything checks out there, then I'll let the vehicle get to operating temperature and check the level on the dipstick and make sure that it falls in between the hash marks. We don't want it too low. We certainly don't want it too high. If all that checks out fine, I'll put the cover back on. This job is done. Okay, now that I checked everything above and below, I don't have any leaks. I checked the oil level. It's perfect in between the hash marks, right in the middle. We're good to go. Cover back on. This oil change is complete. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. Leave a comment down below. Those elements help support the channel. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. And as always, stay tuned for the next video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.